In the earlier lectures, you already learned that Apache Kafka organizes the messages in topics, and the broker creates a log file for each topic to store these messages. However, these log files are partitioned, replicated, and segmented. In this lecture, I will not only explain but also show you the Kafka log file organization. So, this lecture is going to be a working session. Great. Let's start with the high-level concept of the topic. What is a Kafka topic? A topic is a logical name to group your messages. Like in a database, you must create a table to store your data records. In Kafka, you must create a topic to store messages. So, let's create a topic and see a few things in action. I have a 3-node Kafka cluster running on my machine. I have configured things in a way that I can efficiently work from the IntelliJ IDEA, and I do not have to switch screens. I have also set all 3 brokers to use this temp directory as a home directory. What does that mean? That means everything that my Kafka brokers are going to create will reside in this temp directory. This arrangement makes things easy to watch and understand what is happening under the hood. My 3-node Kafka cluster is up and all 3 brokers are running. Let me show you what do we have inside the temp directory. I have this Zookeeper directory. Kafka needs Zookeeper and I'll explain it in a different video. However, for now, you can think of this directory as a Zookeeper data directory where the Zookeeper will store its data. Other 3 directories are the data directories for my 3 Kafka brokers. Let me take you inside one of these directories. So, these are some initial files. When a broker starts, it creates some initial files. Most of these files would be empty at this point. I haven't created any topic yet, so we do not have any file for a topic. This is an initial state of the Kafka broker. We do not want to get into further details of these files. Our focus is to understand how topic is organized at the broker level. So, we'll create one topic and investigate these directories to know how a topic is physically held at the broker. So, let's create a topic. Here is the command that I would use to create a Kafka topic. Kafka topics is a shell script on Linux machine and a batch script on a Windows machine. Rest all are arguments to the command. The first argument is to tell Kafka that we want to create a topic. The second argument is the Zookeeper coordinates. The third argument is the name of the topic. These 3 arguments are mandatory and fundamental arguments for the command to work. When you create a topic in Apache Kafka, you must specify 2 more configurations: number of partitions and replication factor. If you do not provide these parameters, Kafka assumes a default value. But every topic must have some values for these 2 parameters. Let's execute this command and then I'll talk about the partitions and replication factor. Great! Topic creation is complete. Now, let me talk about the topic partition. What are they? In Kafka, a single topic may store millions of messages, and hence it is not practical to keep all those messages in a single file. The topic partitions are a mechanism to break the topic further into smaller parts, right? But what does it mean for Apache Kafka? For Apache Kafka, a partition is nothing but a physical directory. What does it mean? It means a simple thing. Apache Kafka creates a separate directory for each topic partition. I created a topic for invoices and specified 5 partitions. That means Kafka will create 5 directories for the invoice topic. You can see it here. We got 5 new directories because we created 5 partitions for the invoice topic. So, Kafka topic partitions are nothing but directories. You create a topic with 3 partitions, Kafka broker will create 3 directories. You ask for 10 partitions, the broker will create 10 directories. Simple, isn't it? I hope you got some sense about Kafka topic partition. Now the next thing that I want to talk about is the replication factor. What is replication factor? The replication factor specifies how many copies do you want to maintain for each partition. That simply means the replication factor multiplies to the number of partitions. For example, we created one topic for invoices. While creating the topic, we specified the number of partitions as 5 and a replication factor as 3. In this case, Kafka should create 15 directories. The calculation is simple. We wanted to produce 5 partitions and maintain 3 copies of each partition, and that makes 15 directories. But where are they? I showed you only 5 directories. Where are the other 10 directories? They are created on the other brokers. So, if you look at the other 2 broker homes, they also have those 5 directories. Altogether, we have 5 partitions on each broker, and in total, we have 15 directories. We term these directories as partition replica. How do I name them? Well, I can call it as first replica of partition 0, second replica of partition 0, third replica of partition 0. Similarly, we have 3 replicas of partition 1 and so on. Great. So we understand that the number of partitions and replication factor multiplies and results into directories. And we call them as partition replicas. In our example, we have 15 partition replicas. All these 15 directories are part of the same topic, but they are distributed among the available brokers. I'll talk about the distribution logic in a separate video, but for now, I want to talk about the classification of the partition replicas. So, we can classify topic partition replicas into 2 categories: leader partitions and follower partitions. While creating the topic, we specified the number of partitions as 5, and Kafka creates 5 directories. These 5 directories are called the leader partitions. So, the leaders are created first. Then we also specified the replication factor as 3. That means Kafka should ensure 3 copies for each of these 5 partitions. One is already there, the leader. Hence, Kafka creates 2 more directories for each leader. And we call these copies as followers. Remember, the follower is a duplicate copy of the leader. And all of them are nothing but directories. If you want to know which one is the leader and which ones are followers, you can use Kafka topics command once again to describe the topic. The output clearly tells where does the leader reside for the given partition. This number is the broker ID that holds the leader partition for partition ID 0. We'll learn more about leaders and followers in further lectures. However, at this stage, it is essential to understand that there are leader partitions that are followed by several followers. The number of follower partition depends on the replication factor. Great. So we are done with the directories. These directories are there to hold log files where messages are stored. So the next thing I want to talk about is the log file. The messages are stored within the directories in the log files. However, instead of creating one large file in the partition directory, Kafka creates several smaller files. That means the Kafka log file is split into smaller files known as segments. Let me show you the first segment file. Here is the first log segment file. Every topic partition would create the first log segment file, and you can see them in each partition. Now we start sending messages and see what happens next. Let me execute my producer program. I am configuring my producer to send 500,000 short messages. Average message size is roughly 20 bytes. Let's run it. Finished. Quick, isn't it? Now you can see a bunch of log segment files. But how it happens? The next important thing to understand is the logic behind the splitting of segment files. Let's try to understand how this splitting happens. When the partition receives its first message, it stores the message in the first segment. The next message also goes in the same segment, and the segment file continues to grow until the maximum segment limit is reached. As the Kafka broker is writing to the partition, if the segment limit is reached, they close the file and start a new segment. That's how we get multiple segment files in each partition directory. The default maximum segment size is either 1 GB of data or a week of data, whichever is smaller. I configured the maximum segment size as 1 MB, and hence I got multiple segments. Otherwise, this split happens only after 1 GB limit is reached. Great! Now you understand the log segments. Let's move to the next item. There is one critical thing to understand about the Kafka messages. Each Kafka message in the partition is uniquely identified by a 64-bit integer offset. Every Kafka message within a single partition is uniquely identified by the offset. For example, the offset for the first message in the partition would be 0. The offset for the second message would be 1, and so on. This numbering also continues across the segments to keep the offset unique within the partition. Let's consider that the offset of the last message in the first segment is 30652. Assume that the maximum segment limit is reached. So, the Kafka should close this segment and create a new segment file for the next message. The offset for the first message in the new segment continues from the earlier segment, and hence the offset of the first message in the second segment would be 30653. For easy identification, the segment file name is also suffixed by the first offset in that segment. And you can see that here. You should remember that the offset is unique within the partition. If you look across the partitions, the offset starts from 0 in each partition. Hence, the offset is a 64-bit integer giving a unique ID to the message in a given partition. Since the offsets are not unique across the topic, if you want to locate a specific message, you must know at least 3 things: topic name, partition number, and then the offset number. At first sight, this arrangement of uniqueness looks strange. Let me explain. If you think in database terms, this unique identification does not make a good sense for locating the messages. The topic name is like a table name in the database, but partition and offset are just numbers. In database applications, we may want to access data on some critical columns, such as invoice number, customer name, or customer ID. However, you cannot do that in Kafka because messages are not structured into column names. And that's why this arrangement of uniqueness looks strange. However, this numbering may not be a problem for real-time stream processing application. How? Let's take an example to understand it. In a stream processing application, the requirement is different. A stream processing application wants to read all messages in a sequence. Let's assume that you have a stream processing application that computes loyalty points for the customer in real time. The application should read each invoice and calculate loyalty point. While computing loyalty points, you need customer ID and the amount, but you must read all the events. Let's look at the sequence of activities. The application connects to the broker and asks for the messages starting from the offset 0. Let's assume the broker sends 10 messages to the application. The application takes a few milliseconds to compute loyalty points on those 10 invoices. Now it is again ready to process a few more messages. So it goes back to the broker and requests for more messages starting from offset 10. The broker provides another batch of 15 messages. Next time, the application requests for another set of messages. This process continues for the life of the application. The process explained in this example is the typical pattern of how a stream processing application would work. In this process, you must have noticed that the consumer application is requesting messages based on the offset. The point is straightforward. Kafka allows consumers to start fetching messages from a given offset number. This means if consumer demands for messages beginning at offset 100, the broker must be able to locate the message for offset 100. To help brokers rapidly find the message for a given offset, Kafka maintains an index of offsets. The index files are also segmented for easy management, and they are also stored in the partition directory along with the log file segments. You can see them here. Finally, the last thing in this lecture, the time index. Kafka allows consumers to start fetching messages based on the offset number. However, in many use cases, you might want to seek messages based on timestamp. These requirements are as straightforward as you want to read all the events that are created after a specific timestamp. To support such needs, Kafka also maintains a timestamp for each message, builds a time index to quickly seek the first message that arrived after the given timestamp. The time index is like the offset index, and it is also segmented and stored in the partition directory along with the offset index and log file segment. You might see a few other types of files in the partition directory, but those files have nothing to do with the data. Kafka creates those files to keep some control information and clean them from time to time. We do not care much about those files. Great. So it was a quite long session, but we learned some key concepts about the Kafka broker and how the Kafka topics are logically organized. See you in the next lecture. Keep learning and keep growing.